spawning up to the top right hand position of Frost, we have got the orange Protoss player representing Team PK, GunGFuBanDa, and his opponent to the lower right, representing MaxFlow, 1-0 up in this best of 3, it is souL. So, souL is gonna be probably quite happy with this. It's the 5th, 6th decider game, so only the top 4 advance forward into Challenger guaranteed. So what these guys are currently playing for is that 5th, 6th spot, and that's the reserve spot for WCS Challenger. The winner, obviously if anyone who has qualified from obviously the 4 qualifiers so far can't attend Challenger, can't compete in it for whatever reason, one of the wildcard 5th, 6th spots will replace them. That's where it's really important. So, Probe gonna go and scout up to the top left. Meanwhile, we do see souL also gonna go and scout towards the left. So neither player gonna get the first scout down. GunGFu for the moment, adding in the double gases again quite early. Whereas souL going for a CC first, but he's building it on the high ground. Of course, if it's coming down on the high ground, that means that it's slightly safer. But still souL playing a greedy economic build. Waiting to see what this SCV scouting is going to get up to. He just checked to see at the watchtower to see if he saw anything coming over. Well, not going to spot anything. souL unfortunately going to go... Oh, souL actually going to go the right way. It's GunGFu going to go the wrong way here. And this is a little bit annoying. Means he doesn't get the instant scout down, and it means that this CC first won't get punished. There's not really anything he can do unless he blindly does it. Still sitting at 4 gases. And remember, not 4 gases, 4 drones and probes in gas is what I meant. But yeah, this isn't super tech heavy. We're not going to be seeing a massively quick rush to a proxy Stargate like we did in the last game. However, in that last game, we didn't actually see much done with that proxy Stargate. So, glad to see a variation here. Quick Nexus coming down now from GunGFu, who is still just playing things very standard. Adding in that mothership core, coming to check, doesn't see anything here. Scouts his opponent now and is going to find that, okay, that was a CC up on the high ground. Command center first. Is there anything that actually GunGFu can do to punish this now? Unfortunately, it's unlikely he can, because the 2 and now soon to be 3 barracks are already rapidly producing Marines, and the build from GunGFu doesn't allow for anything ultra aggressive to happen. So all in all, souL took a bit of a risk here. He was 1 game up, but it pays off for him. He's gonna have an economic edge. Forge now on its way through. Of course, there's still this 1 SCV hidden, and I'm not sure if that was known about. It must have been, because Mothership Core coming to check around here. The Forge actually was originally building up here and now cancelled to prevent this SCV from being able to scout it before it gets seen. So this was a really cool move. So, adding in that tech lab now, just pumping out a lot of Marines, happy to do so. Should add in a couple of Marauders, just in case there's a lot of Stalkers heading his way. As well as starting up that stim upgrade. But between everything, it is all going really quite nicely for both of these two. They're managing to get down what they want. And really the only downside is actually on the side of GunGFu, that he didn't get the early scout and couldn't punish that really, really quick CC, or CC first. So, with the engineering bay coming down, souL won't fall too far behind in upgrades, but in PvT, as long as the Protoss players got a forge down and the same number of forges at a similar period, then of course they're going to get ahead. They've got chrono boosts they can be spending there. So it takes less time for Protoss upgrades to research than Terran upgrades. Adding in that robotics facility, are we going to see a quick tech up into Colossi? Because what really hurt souL in the last game was the lack of any splash damage. He couldn't just deal with the infantry when it had stim and medevac support. Twilight Council coming down first though. This is going to allow him to go into +2 very quickly. And this could be a pretty cool +2 timing if he wants to do that. Meanwhile, we do see that the bunker at the front is on its way down. Quick little scan from souL is going to reveal the Twilight Council as well as the Forge. So, and also the Robo catching all of the tech from his opponent. And that's a massively important scan that we just saw out of souL. GunGFu, since he's getting the +1 attack, is unlikely to be going High Templar in a form of his splash damage first. And that is simply because attack doesn't benefit Psionic Storm. It doesn't benefit, actually, High Templar at all apart from the Archons. So, more likely to see Colossi, especially with that Robotics Bay as well. But I've been known to be wrong before. Blink, though, coming down. Could be a big Blink play coming out, although this would be hitting very, very late. And no, just getting down. That Robotics Bay Colossi going to be coming through. And now it's just a very passive early game, and I mean really passive. If we take a look, 75 resources lost by souL compared to nothing of GunGFu. It was one scouting worker that souL actually lost, and he probably cancelled something somewhere. So, all looking good. And not too much really else to be pulling up on either player's side. They're both just playing a very standard game, teching up into the mid game, and keeping things incredibly passive. They're not wanting to move out. The first move out we're likely to see is about now from souL, when he's got +1, got combat shield, and of course the 2 medevacs. It's a really common timing. However, GunGFu should be in an okay spot to defend this. He's got full energy on his mothership core, so has a photon overcharge and a time warp, plus a photon cannon, and he's going to have a Colossus, which will be close to having +2 out. He also knows it's coming. The Observer sees it all, the Pylon sees it all, and this is really, really good. Unlikely to cause much of a problem, but still has to be a little bit careful. The third base, if it's seen, which so far it hasn't been, could probably get denied. And the reason it can get denied is because since the Nexus isn't finished, there's no way you can photon overcharge it. And that photon overcharge will play an important factor in this. So the medevac just running some high ground vision, taking a look how many Colossi are there. The Colossus doesn't have extended thermal lance, nor is it started, so it maxes, or it equals range with those Marauders, which means that it is slightly vulnerable. souL, hoping he can get the pick off with that third, can see it, but he's already got his own third, well in production, actually ahead in production, so still keeping that economic edge with both the Mules and a 7 SCV lead. GunGFu though, his Colossus count is getting higher, and for the moment there's not a single Viking on the field, nor is there an attempt yet to add in a second starport. Just starting that up now, so it's going to be a while until GunGFu is going to have any risk of souL trying to engage him head on, because without those Vikings, the Colossi, now they're in a decent number, 2 already out, third one, about a third done, just can't be engaged upon with only Marines, Marauders and medevacs. You need some Vikings there if you're going to be stopping it. We've also got +3 on its way down, so the upgrade lead really is here. Quite a lot now for GunGFu. And while there is the armor upgrades coming through for souL, where they arm for GunGFu, remember, that armor upgrade is not as effective as the attack upgrade when you've got Colossi, because the Colossi start dealing splash damage. So that starts becoming a fairly substantial damage increase for each level, whereas the armor doesn't make much of a percentage difference to that overall damage output. +2 though is on the way out as well for souL. He's getting double upgrades, and that's going to allow him to level out those upgrades at some point, as long as he keeps it up. Still though, third bases are up on both sides, ridiculously passive still. 850 resources lost in total this game across both players. So, really, this is as passive as you could expect. And souL, I doubt he's going to want to keep it that way for too long, because once his Viking count starts rising, and he is going to be producing 4 at a time, or should be, he's got 2 reactors, then he's going to be able to start contending up against these Colossi first. And what he's ultimately wanting to avoid is the point at which the Templar Archives and Storm comes out. So we've already got that tech switch, or tech addition, coming through from GunGFu. And the reason he's going to want to avoid the period where there is Storm is not because Storm's ridiculous or anything like that, but just because it means he's going to have to start factoring in ghosts, needing those EMPs and good snipes. However, souL, he seems more than happy to do that. He's adding in his Ghost Academy now. He is aware that, hey, my opponent did already have the Twilight counter, so he doesn't have much to do tech-wise to go up into the Templar archives. And so, he's just going to be assuming this is a late game situation now, and is all going to be coming down to the Viking and Ghosts up against the Colossi and High Templar for the most part. The infantry does its thing anyway, so it really is just the Terran's army composition and getting those EMPs down, the storms for the Protoss side, that are going to make the real substantial differences. Couple of additional ghosts, or the first two ghosts coming through now. +1 are weapons for mech coming through. That's for the Vikings. Of course, they benefit from just all the mech upgrades now, air and also ground mech. And that's going to make them more efficient at taking down those Colossi. +2 infantry armor, also on its way. This should pretty much level out the upgrades now. 2-2 up against 3-0 is pretty similar, although we do see GunGFu researching that +1 ground armor. Gonna help him. And of course that +1 armor is really effective against Marines specifically because of their high rate of fire but lower damage per hit. Getting an additional armor really makes that a sizable change. So now GunGFu, still sitting in a very defensive position. He's up against a lot of Vikings though, 12 of them, taking out 4 Colossi. No High Templar yet on the field, nor is Storm being researched. That's quite interesting. And that means the Ghosts are only really there for a couple of EMPs, so it doesn't need to heavily invest in Ghosts. Lots of scans coming down. There is the 4th base in production here for GunGFu as well. He's got a huge amount of production. Meanwhile, for souL, he's now just starting up his... Oh, souL's also got his 4th base coming down. I mean GunGFu just starting up his 4th now. So this is pretty cool. Still, we've got GunGFu baiting out the engage. He's got a better concave here. Is souL going to go for it? He is moving forward. Those Vikings picking off a hallucinated Colossus first, which is actually good for GunGFu. He's still moving forward. The Viking count pretty damn high, but the Colossi are, for the moment, staying up. One's fallen. Another one getting very low, but it's dishing out so much damage. souL with reinforcements coming through tip the tide of this battle into his favor, but it's the 3 Colossi up that are just shredding everything. GunGFu takes that engagement convincingly thanks to such a better concave. Really, just the engagement position, so superior for the Protoss player there. Storm is being chrono boosted out. There's not actually much in the way of High Templar, just 3 that are a long way back. But of course, with the Warpin available, that means a lot more splash can be coming through. GunGFu getting aggressive now. He's up 96 to 56 army supply. Up by about 50 supply total. And ahead in the workers, which is really important. Couple of Stalkers are going to get taken down. Remember, this Terran Force has got 3-3 on the way and +2 mech weapons. But it's up to the Ghosts. Can they get some good EMPs? They need to hit the shields of those Zealots to reduce how tanky they are. SCV's being pulled now by souL. He knows he's in a little bit of trouble. But additional warpins coming down. What is getting warped in? That's what that scan is looking for. Is this a full retreat or just a back away? Do I need to stay in a defensive spot? Only 6 Stalkers, so the Vikings aren't going to fall that quickly. However, with some more Archons coming through, as well as these 3 Storms available, the Terran player, without doubt, needs to be very, very careful. The Zealots now waiting to get up close and personal. The Storm is going to be very important. The Vikings have to be targeting those Colossi and taking them out, but a couple of snipes went through. Storm still available. An Archon dies, but still souL manages to force back this push. Another attempt at a snipe. The High Templar stays alive. No Storms yet, but they could be about to hit. That is a good Storm. Backing out of it fast, but those Storms are brilliant. Massive amounts of damage done. GG, and GunGFu levels out this series to be tied 1-1. And that means we're going to the ace game.